Okay, we're back at the beginning screen, which is the login screen for Medicare Plus Fraud, Waste, and Abuse. And I might as well let you know, since this is the last time we will be doing intros to this, that the Ahip, once you do the mastery test after the Medicare piece, you're not complete with Ahip until you have also done the fraud, waste, and abuse. And the Ahip system will let you know when you've completed everything at 100%. So this, of course, is where you log in. You can log in through specific carrier sites. I logged in through the devoted site. If you log in through a carrier site, then you're going to have the $50 discount that they're allowing. Some carriers will not be giving that $50 off. Did I say 50%? $50 off after a certain date time. So you may need to go ahead and do that so that you can get the $50 discount. So we're now in Module 5, which is enrollment guidance for Medicare Advantage and Part D plans. At the end of this module, we will be done with all of the classes before the mastery test. Take the practice test when we're done with Module 5 for as many times as you need to have all of your answers correct and know the correct answers and understand the correct answers. If you have any questions at the end, when I'm done, we will start recording and then we'll have open floor, open mic for questions and answers. And since this is the last one, we'll have open forum for all questions pertaining to any of the modules in case you have questions about any of the ones that we've done this week. Tomorrow, by tomorrow evening this time, I would expect that everyone who has watched the live or been in attendance in the live will be able to email me or text me and say, I have passed. You don't need to send me your certificates, but I am so anxious to know that you have passed. If you don't do that, then go to the YouTube channel and put a remark under one of the lessons that you have passed. I am looking for 100% everyone passing the Ahip mastery test. If you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with me. Module 5, just excuse me one moment. Okay, for everybody that sees this, it's going to be on the recording because I don't edit. Module 5, you will gain an overview of when beneficiaries can enroll in a Medicare Advantage or a Part D plan, distinguish between the various enrollment periods applicable to Medicare Advantage and Part D plans, including initial enrollment periods, annual election periods, Medicare Advantage open enrollment periods, special election periods, open enrollment periods of institutionalized individuals, and the cost plan enrollment periods. You'll be able to identify the different types of special election periods that allow individuals to change from their plan election. Examine the concept of enrollment request, including acceptable formats for electronic and telephonic requests, as well as acceptable individuals who may complete the enrollment. Use the simplified opt-in enrollment mechanism. Give an understanding of the comprehensive pre-enrollment questions that must be addressed. Recognize what are prohibited and allowable actions regarding enrollment discrimination. Identify post-enrollment activities such as beneficiary notifications and materials, as well as the rules pertaining to the start of coverage. Distinguish between the circumstances surrounding voluntary disenrollment and involuntary disenrollment. Your navigation instructions for Module 5 are identical to the navigation instructions throughout all the other modules. This training program is protected under United States copyright laws. Doesn't belong to me. I'm just delivering the information. Belongs to Ahip. These are your 5 learning objectives for tonight. You're going to learn when a beneficiary can enroll or change plans. You're going to learn who can complete an enrollment form. You're going to learn post-enrollment requirements. You will also know the enrollee's protections. And you will know what the disenrollment process is. The roadmap includes enrollment and election periods for Medicare Advantage open enrollment, special enrollment and election periods, open enrollment period for institutionalized individuals, enrollment requests, beneficiary information, acknowledgments, and enrollee discrimination prohibitions, post-enrollment activities and rules, and disenrollment. Enrollment and election periods overview. Beneficiaries may enroll or change plans at certain fixed times each year or under certain limited circumstances. If the application is not received during those fixed times of the year or does not include information supporting a permissible election period, such as an attestation of eligibility to enroll, plans must contact the beneficiary to decide if the enrollment is permissible. Medicare Advantage and Part D enrollment election periods are Medicare Advantage initial coverage period, ICEP. Part D initial enrollment period, IEP. Medicare Advantage and Part D annual election period, AEP. Medicare Advantage and Part D special enrollment periods, SEP. Open enrollment period for institutionalized individuals, OEPI. And Medicare Advantage open enrollment period is in MAOEP. Certain election periods have fixed calendar dates and are available to all beneficiaries, while others depend on an individual circumstance. Fixed annual election periods are annual election period October 15th to December 7th. The Medicare Advantage open enrollment period is a fixed period from January 1 to March 31. Election periods with dates and conditions based on individual circumstances are initial enrollment election periods when a beneficiary is first eligible for Medicare. New beneficiaries who enroll in Medicare Advantage also have a Medicare Advantage OEP open enrollment that starts the month of entitlement to Part A and Part B. special enrollment election periods when special circumstances arrive, and continuous open enrollment for institutionalized individuals. So the OEPI is a continuous open enrollment. Here's a chart that summarizes the different enrollment periods and what the options are during those periods. So if it's the ICEP, the initial coverage election period, Part D, initial enrollment period, or the IEP, they have a Medicare Advantage option to enroll, and they also have a prescription drug plan option to enroll. During the annual election period, a beneficiary has the option to enroll, disenroll, or change plans. Everyone does. They can do the same if they are a prescription drug plan member. For Medicare Advantage open enrollment, January 1 through March 31, and for individuals choosing a Medicare Advantage plan during their ICEP, the month of entitlement to Part A and B, through the last day of the third month of entitlement, anyone can disenroll from a Medicare Advantage or Medicare Advantage prescription drug plan, return to original Medicare, change Medicare Advantage plans, change Part D option under Medicare Advantage plan, change from Medicare Advantage to Medicare Advantage prescription drug, or Medicare Advantage prescription drug to a Medicare Advantage plan. Someone who has the prescription drug only after disenrolling from a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare Advantage plan with prescriptions may enroll in a prescription drug plan. Special election periods. Under most special elections, beneficiaries can enroll, disenroll, or change plans. However, some special election period beneficiary options are limited. Under most special elections, beneficiaries can enroll, disenroll, or change plans if they are prescription drug plan members. However, under some special elections, their options are limited. Open enrollment period for institutionalized individuals. They can enroll, disenroll, change plans. They can enroll in a prescription drug, disenroll from a prescription drug, and enroll in another prescription drug or Medicare Advantage plan. The Medicare Advantage initial coverage election period is the period during which an individual newly eligible for Medicare Advantage may make an initial enrollment request to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. The initial coverage election period begins 3 months immediately before the individual's first entitlement to both Medicare Part A and B, and ends on the later of the last day of the month of the last day of the second month after the month in which they are first entitled to Part A and enrolled in Part B, or the last day of the individual's Part B initial enrollment period. The initial enrollment period for Part B for boy is 7 month period that begins 3 months before the month an individual meets the eligibility requirements for Part B and ends 3 months after the month of eligibility. During the initial coverage election period, an individual may enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. And an individual may also choose a Medicare Advantage plan with prescription drugs when the Part D initial enrollment period and the Medicare Advantage ICEP period occurs at the same time. So A and B are the same. The individual can make one enrollment choice under the ICEP. Once enrollment is effective, the ICEP is already used. Note, however, the individuals choosing a Medicare Advantage plan during their ICEP have a Medicare Advantage open enrollment period following their election through the last day of the third month of the entitlement, during which they can disenroll to original Medicare or change plans. If the ICEP for Medicare Advantage enrollment election will frequently relate to either the individual's 65th birthday or the 25th month of disability. Not if, it is. But it must always relate to the individual's entitlement to both Medicare Parts A and Medicare Parts B. The Part D initial enrollment period begins 3 months before the month an individual is first entitled to Part A or enrolled in Part B, and ends 3 months after the month of eligibility. This is the one that you're most commonly using. Individuals eligible for Medicare before age 65, for example, because of disability, will have another initial enrollment period when attaining age 65. During the Part D initial enrollment period, beneficiaries may make one Part D enrollment choice, including enrollment in a Medicare Advantage plan with prescription drugs, if they are eligible for Medicare Advantage. Generally, individuals will have an IEP for Part D that is the same period as the initial enrollment period for Medicare Part B. Here's an example. Mr. Crosby will turn 65 on August 10th, 2024. He will continue working. He plans to sign up for his Medicare Part A benefits effective August 1st, but has decided not to enroll in Part B, since he will still have employer group coverage. He will be eligible for Part D since he will have Part A. Even though he will not enroll in Part B, his Part B IEP initial election period is still the 3 months before, the month of, and the 3 months following his 65th birthday. That is May 2024 through November 2024. Hence, his initial election period for Part D is also from May 2024, the 3 months before August, and the 3 months after August, which will bring him to November 2024. The annual election period takes place from October 15th to December 7th each year, and is available to all Medicare Advantage and Part D eligible beneficiaries. During the annual election period, beneficiaries may add or drop drug coverage, enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan, a Medicare Advantage plan with prescriptions, or a standalone prescription drug plan. They may change their MA, MAPD, or PDP plan, or return to original Medicare. No action is needed if the beneficiary keeps their current health or drug plan. However, they should check for any benefit changes under the plan to confirm that staying enrolled in the plan that they have is in their best interest. Beneficiaries may make more than one enrollment choice during the annual election period. Beneficiaries may make more than one choice during the annual election period, but the last one made before December 7th, the end of the annual election period, as determined by the date of the plan or marketing representative receives the completed enrollment form, will be the election that takes effect on January 1. Marketing representatives may not solicit or accept enrollment forms before October 15th for enrollments under the annual enrollment period. If a beneficiary sends an unsolicited annual enrollment paper application request to the plan on or after October 1, but before October 15th, the plan will process the application beginning on the first day of the election period, October 15th. A beneficiary will receive an acknowledgement letter when the plan sponsor receives an early enrollment form to enroll during the AEP. Paper AEP enrollment requests received prior to the start of the AEP, for which there is an indication of sales agent or broker involvement in the submission of the request, such as your name or your contact information on the application, must be investigated by the plan sponsor for compliance. Marketing representatives are permitted to simultaneously market plans for the current and prospective years starting on October 1, providing marketing materials clearly indicate which plan year you are discussing. Current plan years should only be presented to beneficiaries with a valid election period that would result in an effective date prior to January 1 of the next year. Election periods and open enrollment periods. For individuals enrolled in the Medicare Advantage plan January 1, including those renewing and those whose AEP election first becomes effective January 1, the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period takes place from January 1 to March 31 of each year. For new Medicare beneficiaries who are enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan during their ICEP, the MA open enrollment period begins the month of entitlement to Part A and Part B and ends the last day of the third month of the entitlement. The limitation to one election or change during ICEP does not prevent a new enrollee from changing during the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period. During the Medicare open enrollment period and Medicare Advantage prescription drug enrollee may switch to another Medicare Advantage plan with prescriptions, a Medicare Advantage only plan, or original Medicare with or without a prescription drug. A Medicare Advantage only enrollee may switch to another Medicare Advantage only plan, a Medicare Advantage plan with prescriptions, or original Medicare with or without a prescription drug. Beneficiaries may only change plans once during the Medicare Advantage open enrollment. And note that unlike AEP, you cannot submit applications using OEP more than once during that period. MSA enrollees, Medicare Savings Account enrollees may not use the Medicare Advantage open enrollment to disenroll from a Medicare Savings Account. As eligibility to use the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period is available only for Medicare Advantage enrollees, the ability to make changes to Part D coverage is limited to any individual who is enrolled in an MA or MAPD plan before they change. As a reminder, marketing representatives may not do target marketing related to the open enrollment. For example, marketing that mentions that the open enrollment or that targets individuals known to be Medicare Advantage enrollees. Example, Mrs. Hildigo has been a long-time enrollee of a Medicare Advantage prescription drug plan offered by Green Plan. She did not make an enrollment election during the AEP and thus remained enrolled in her Green Plan MAPD for the subsequent year. Mrs. Hildigo did not read the plan documents she received on October 15th, disclosing substantial changes to her Green Plan benefits. After receiving services in January, those changes became evident, and Mrs. Hildigo was no longer happy with her plan. She called her agent to complain. Her agent correctly advised her that she had until March 31st to change to another Medicare Advantage plan with prescription drugs, a Medicare Advantage plan, or original Medicare with or without a prescription drug plan. Special enrollment elections. Medicare Advantage eligible and Part D eligible beneficiaries who experience certain qualifying events or wish to enroll in a 5-star plan are provided a special period to change their election, known as Special Election Period, or SEP. Timeframes for SEPs vary. The SEP generally ends when the individual makes an allowed change to their enrollment or the time expires, whichever comes first. Where appropriate, SEPs allowing changes to Medicare Advantage coverage are coordinated with those allowing changes in Part D coverage. During a special election period, individuals who disenroll from a Medicare Advantage plan and enroll in original Medicare may have guaranteed Medigap issue rights. Medicare Advantage plans will notify such beneficiaries of these rights. Under Part D special election periods, qualifying beneficiaries generally have one opportunity to drop, add, or change their Part D coverage. Under Medicare Advantage special election periods, qualified beneficiaries generally have one opportunity to change their Medicare Advantage coverage, except for medical savings account enrollees. But if a beneficiary disenrolls from their Medicare Advantage plan and returns to original Medicare, they may subsequently select a new Medicare Advantage plan as long as they do so before the special election expires. Here are some special election periods. These are not all of the situations that can result in a special election, but these are some of the most common ones. Change in residence, so someone who has moved from one service area to another. Involuntary loss of credible drug coverage. Their employer plan had credible coverage, but the plan changed and the drug coverage is no longer credible. Dropping a Medigap policy after enrolling for the first time in a Medicare Advantage plan if an individual is still in the trial period. That's the 12-month period when someone leaves a Medigap plan, comes into a Medicare Advantage plan. During those first 12 months, when they come into a Medicare Advantage plan for the first time, they have what's called a trial period, and they can go back to the Medigap policy. Changing into or out of employer coverage. Gaining or losing eligibility for Medicaid or the Part D low-income subsidy. Being enrolled into a plan by CMS or a state through passive enrollment, auto enrollment, facilitated enrollment, and reassignment. Some of the typical SEPs: change in residence. Beneficiaries who moved out of their existing plan service area or who have new options available as a result of a permanent move have a special election allowing them to enroll in a Medicare Advantage or Part D plan. The special election begins either the month before the permanent move, if the plan is notified in advance, or the month the beneficiary provides the notice of the move. It continues for 2 months following the month it begins or the month of the move, whichever is later. A beneficiary using this special election may choose an effective date up to 3 months after the move in which the enrollment form is received by the plan, but it may not be earlier than the date of the permanent move. Employer union coverage change. Certain individuals experiencing or making changes in employer group coverage have a special election allowing them to enroll in or disenroll from a Medicare Advantage or a Part D plan. Those beneficiaries include individuals leaving employer-sponsored coverage, including COBRA coverage, individuals who elect into or out of employer-sponsored MA or PDP plans, beneficiaries disenrolling from an MA or PDP plan to enroll in employer union-sponsored coverage that includes medical and/or drug coverage. And if you all are watching this, I know that you're happy that the visual stopped after that syringe was filled. The SEP begins when the employer union plan would otherwise allow the individual to make changes to their coverage and ends 2 months after the month the employer or union-sponsored coverage ends. The individual may choose the effective date of enrollment or disenrollment up to 3 months after the month in which the individual completes an enrollment or disenrollment request. However, the effective date may not be earlier than the first of the month following the month in which the request was made. The effective date may not be earlier than the first day of the individual's entitlement to Medicare. Beneficiaries enrolled in a plan by CMS or the state. Individuals who enrolled into a plan by CMS or a state, such as through passive enrollment, auto enrollment, facilitated enrollments, or reassignment, have a special election to disenroll from their assigned plan or enroll into a different plan. During the special election period, beneficiaries may make an election within 3 months of the effective date of the assignment or notification of the assignment, whichever is later. There's a typical special election, and this is limitations to at-risk and potential at-risk beneficiaries. An at-risk individual is a Part D eligible individual who is determined to be at risk for misuse or abuse of a frequently abused drug per the requirements for drug management program under CMS regulations. A potential at-risk beneficiary is a Part D eligible individual who is identified as being potentially at risk for misuse or abuse of a frequently abused drug per the requirements for drug management program under CMS regulations. Once an individual is identified by the plan sponsor as a potential at-risk or at-risk beneficiary, and the plan sponsor has sent written notice to the individual, they cannot use the dual eligible or the LIS special election to change plans while this risk designation is in place. The notice to the individual explains that this special election is no longer available. The enrollment limitation for a potential at-risk or an at-risk individual will not apply to other Part D enrollment periods, including the AEP or other SEPs. Note that individuals may appeal their designation of at-risk or potential at-risk. Typical special elections changes in Medicaid or LIS status. Beneficiaries who are entitled to Medicare Part A and or Part B who have a change in their Medicaid or low-income subsidy status, including the gain or loss of eligibility or a change in the level of assistance they receive, are eligible for a special election. During that special election, they're entitled to Part A and B, can enroll in or disenroll from a Medicare Advantage and or Part D plan once. Those entitled only to Part B can only do so for prescription drug plans. The SEP begins the later of the change or notification of the change and continues for 3 months. Other common special elections. Medigap special election. Any Medicare beneficiary who drops a Medigap policy when they enroll for the first time in a Medicare Advantage plan has a special election during the first 12 months. That's when they can elect to disenroll from the first Medicare Advantage and go back to original Medicare with the Medigap. They will also have a guaranteed eligibility period to rejoin the Medigap plan. Beneficiaries who have severe or disabling chronic conditions and wish to enroll in a SNP designed to serve individuals with that specific condition have a special election during which they can enroll in a chronic plan designed to serve individuals with their condition. The special election lasts as long as the individual has the qualifying condition and ends once the individual enrolls in a chronic SNP plan. Beneficiaries enrolled in a plan that has been identified as low performing, they have a special election that exists as long as the beneficiary is enrolled in the low performing Medicare Advantage plan. Beneficiaries enrolled in a special needs plan who are no longer eligible for the special need because they no longer meet the specific special needs status have a special election that begins the month the individual's special needs status changes and ends when they make an enrollment request or 3 calendar months after the effective date of involuntary disenrollment from the SNP plan, whichever is earlier. Beneficiaries who live in a service area of a 5-star plan have a special election during which they can disenroll from a Medicare Advantage plan, a prescription drug or cost plan, or leave original Medicare to enroll in a 5-star Medicare Advantage plan, prescription drug, or cost plan. The 5-star plan special election is available each year beginning on December 8th and may be used once through November 30th of the following year. Full benefit dual eligibles have a special election allowing them to make a one-time per month election into a fully integrated dual eligible special needs plan. A highly integrated dual eligible special needs plan or an applicable integrated plan. This special election is only available to facilitate aligned enrollment. Part D, special election for dual eligibles and beneficiaries with low income subsidy, individuals who have Medicare Part A and or Part B and receive any type of assistance from Medicaid, dual eligibles, and individuals who qualify for a low income subsidy but who do not receive Medicaid have a special election that allows them to make a one-time per month election into a standalone prescription drug plan. CMS will establish a special election on a case-by-case basis when it determines that changes to a Medicare Advantage plan's provider network are significant based on the effect or potential to affect on current plan enrollees. For example, the loss of a large provider group from the plan's network. The SEP begins the month enrollees are notified of eligibility for the special election and continues for an additional 2 months thereafter. Mr. Brown is moving from his home to an assisted living facility a mile away. An IE SNP is available only to residents of the assisted living facility. Since Mr. Brown will have a new plan option available to him as a result of his change in residence, he will have a special election if he wishes to enroll in the IE SNP. Ms. Turner is eligible for Part A, but did not enroll in Part B when she was first eligible because she had insurance through her employer. She did not enroll in Part D because she had credible coverage. Mrs. Turner is turning 68 and would like to retire in June. Her employer group insurance will end on her retirement effective date. If Ms. Turner enrolls in Part B, she can use the special election for individuals changing employer group coverage to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare Advantage plan with prescription drugs. The special election will last until August 31st. Open enrollment for institutionalized individuals. The OEPI is available for individuals who move into, reside in, or move out of an institution. For example, a skilled nursing facility, rehabilitation hospital, immediate care facility for individuals with intellectual disabilities, psychiatric hospital or unit, or long-term care hospital. The OEPI is not available for individuals who are institutional equivalent, that is, who meet the institutional level of care but do not reside in one of the facilities listed above. For example, the OEPI does not apply to individuals in assisted living facilities. OEPI is a continuous open enrollment period as long as the individual is in an institution. The OEPI ends 2 months after the individual moves out of the institution. Beneficiaries eligible for the OEPI can make an unlimited number of MA enrollment requests and may disenroll from their Medicare Advantage plan, enroll in or disenroll from a Part D plan, return to original Medicare. And Medicare Advantage organization is not required to accept requests to enroll into its plan during the OEPI. If this is open for these enrollment requests, the organization must accept all OEPI requests to enroll in the plan. Here are some examples of the OEPI. Mr. Weir has been residing in a nursing home for the past 3 months. He's unhappy with his current Medicare Advantage plan. Mr. Weir can use the OEPI to change his enrollment at any time. Example 2, Ms. Osborne meets an institutional level of care as determined by using a state assessment tool. However, Ms. Osborne has been residing in an assisted living community for the past 6 months and plans to remain there as long as she can. She would like to enroll in an institutional equivalent special needs plan, i.e. SNP, offered at her community. Ms. Osborne cannot use the OEPI to enroll and have to wait for another valid enrollment period. Cost plans. Generally, cost plans must establish an annual open enrollment period of at least 30 days. Most cost plans allow enrollment year-round. For cost plans that offer an optional supplemental Part D benefit, beneficiaries may select this benefit only during valid Part D enrollment periods. Cost plans must accept Part D enrollments during these periods. A beneficiary who is enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan must have a valid Medicare Advantage disenrollment period to switch to a cost plan. Enrollment requests. Plan sponsors must accept enrollment requests regardless of whether they are received in a face-to-face interview, by mail, by fax, or through other mechanisms defined by CMS. All plans must have available and accept a CMS-approved paper enrollment form appropriate to the plan type. Plans may also accept enrollments electronically or telephonically. Most enrollments must be completed using the standard enrollment form, regardless of the format of the request. However, a short enrollment form may be used in certain circumstances. A short form or plan selection form may be used when an individual changes between plans offered by the same parent company, but not for Medicare savings accounts. A simplified process known as the opt-in may be used when an individual new to Medicare who is already a member of the organization's non-Medicare coverage, such as their commercial plan or Medicaid plan, wishes to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. Plan sponsors may develop and offer electronic enrollment mechanisms made available via an electronic device or a secure internet website. Similar to the non-electronic enrollment format, individuals must be provided with all required pre-enrollment information. We went over that last night in Module 4. Enrollment via the internet. CMS offers an online enrollment center through www.medicare.gov. CMS online enrollment is disabled for Medicare Advantage and Part D plans with the low performer icon, which means the plan received less than 3 stars for 3 consecutive years. Medicare Advantage and Part D plans may offer online enrollment on the plan's sponsors, a broker's agency, or a third-party secure website. All online enrollment mechanisms must be approved by CMS. Plan sponsors accept telephonic enrollments where the following requirements are met. Plans may accept telephonic enrollments on incoming calls only from individuals with whom the plan sponsor does not have an existing business relationship. Plans may also accept enrollment requests during communications initiated by the plan when, during outreach to provide information about their Medicare plan offerings to individuals with whom they have an existing business relationship, the individual expresses a desire to enroll in one of the organization's plans. All telephonic enrollment and marketing calls must be recorded. All telephonic enrollment and marketing calls must be recorded. If the request is made by someone other than the beneficiary, the recording must include the attestation regarding the individual's authority under state law to complete the request, in addition to the required contact information. Plan sponsors must ensure that the telephonic enrollment is effectuated entirely by the beneficiary or the authorized representative. Individuals must be advised that they are completing an enrollment request. Calls must include a statement of the individual's agreement to be recorded. The telephonic enrollments must include all required elements necessary to complete an enrollment. If the criteria for using a short enrollment form are met, the shorter list of required elements would apply. The beneficiary's signature and our authorized representative signature element for the telephone request is satisfied with a verbal attestation of intent to enroll. CMS also offers telephone enrollment through 1-800-Medicare. Medicare Advantage opt-in enrollment request. The opt-in mechanism is a simplified enrollment method that allows a Medicare Advantage organization to use data it has from its non-Medicare lines of business to obtain some of the information it would normally need to receive from the beneficiary in the enrollment request. The organization is required to obtain any data necessary from the individual that it doesn't have from its data sharing. Medicare Advantage organizations may conduct outreach to individuals enrolled in its non-Medicare lines of business who are nearing Medicare eligibility or recently Medicare enrolled, and offer them the opportunity to enroll in their plan. Medicare Advantage organizations may only offer simplified opt-in enrollments to individuals who are in their ICEP based on their initial enrollment in Medicare, or enrolled in any type of non-Medicare plan under the same organization or an entity under the same parent organization as the Medicare Advantage organization. Medicare Advantage organizations do not have a break in coverage between the non-Medicare plan and the Medicare plan. And the Medicare Advantage organizations may offer simplified opt-in enrollments via paper, telephone, or electronically. Here's an example. Mr. Nash is turning 65 in June 2024 and is enrolled in an Affordable Care Act plan offered by Good Care. Good Care identifies in its records that Mr. Nash's Medicare Part A and B initial coverage election period begins March 2024. Based on its data from Mr. Nash's ACA plan, Good Care knows that Mr. Nash lives within the service area of several of its Medicare Advantage plans. A representative of Good Care calls Mr. Nash in May. She informs Mr. Nash that because he'll be eligible for Medicare soon, he can enroll in a plan that Good Care offers just for people with Medicare. She provides information on Good Care Medicare Advantage plans available in Mr. Nash's area and ask if he's interested in enrolling in one of these or learning more. Mr. Nash expresses his interest in enrolling in Good Care's Medicare Advantage plan with prescription drugs. Good Care already has Mr. Nash's personal information via its internal systems, and while on the call, the representative obtains what is needed for the Medicare Advantage enrollment that Good Care doesn't already have. The representative uses this information to complete the telephonic enrollment request. Good Care confirms the Medicare Advantage plan Mr. Nash wants to enroll in and asks for his Medicare number. Good Care explains the legal requirements for enrollment, release of information, and confirm Mr. Nash's understanding and acknowledgement approval to process the request. Who can complete an enrollment? A Medicare beneficiary is generally the only individual who may execute a valid request for enrollment in or disenrollment from a Medicare Advantage plan. However, state law may allow another individual to execute an enrollment or disenrollment request on behalf of the beneficiary. CMS will allow a legal representative or another individual to execute an enrollment or disenrollment on behalf of a beneficiary if authorized under the state law. Depending on state law, this may include court-appointed legal guardians, individuals with a durable power of attorney for health care, individuals authorized to make healthcare decisions under state surrogate consent laws if they have the authority to act in this manner. If there's uncertainty regarding whether another person may sign for beneficiaries, agent should check with the plan sponsor. Beneficiary information, acknowledgement, and enrollee discrimination prohibitions. Plan sponsors must ensure that before enrollment, CMS required questions and topics regarding beneficiary needs relating to their health plan choice are fully discussed by agents with the beneficiary or their authorized representatives. The agent must ask the kind of health plan in which the beneficiary wishes to enroll, such as low premium and higher copay or vice versa. Does the beneficiary require hearing, dental, and/or vision coverage? Does the beneficiary have any other healthcare needs, such as needing durable medical equipment or physical therapy? Does the beneficiary have any other specific healthcare needs? Prior to enrollment, the agent must also check to see if the beneficiary's primary care physician and specialist are in network. If not, the agent must explain that the beneficiary will need to choose new ones or pay out of pocket. The agent must also check to see if the beneficiary's preferred hospital is in network. If not, the agent must explain that the beneficiary will need to choose a new one. The agent must check to see if there are other facilities the beneficiary prefers that need to be in plan network. The agent must also review coverage for out-of-network providers and services, except in emergency or urgent situations. The plan do not cover services by out-of-network providers, such as doctors who are not listed in the primary directory. The provider directory, I'm sorry. The agent must review the PPO or the private fee-for-service out-of-network coverage. The agent must discuss prescription drug coverage and costs with the beneficiary prior to enrollment if the beneficiary wishes to obtain Part D coverage. Specifically, the agent must check to see if the beneficiary's prescriptions are on the formulary. If not, the agent must explain that the beneficiary may have to pay full price. The agent must check to see if the beneficiary's pharmacy is in network. If not, the agent must explain that the beneficiary will need to choose a new pharmacy. The agent must discuss a variety of other information about plan benefits with the enrollee prior to enrollment. The agent must review coverage for services furnished by providers outside the United States. The agent must explain the potential effect that enrolling in the plan will have on other current coverage, which may in some cases mean the beneficiary is disenrolled from their current health coverage, for example, another Medicare Advantage plan or Medigap. The agent must explain that the plan is not a hearing, dental, vision rider, but a full health plan covering all Medicare benefits. The agent must explain that plan operates on a calendar year basis, so benefits may change on January 1 of the next year. The agent must explain that evidence of coverage provides all the costs, benefits, and rules for the plan. The agent must also discuss costs with beneficiaries or their authorized representatives prior to enrollment. So the agent must go over plan premiums, if the plan has one, and the Part B premium. The agent must, if applicable, review the current plan premium versus another plan premium, go over cost sharing such as deductibles, co-payments, and co-insurance, including primary care copay, specialist copay, inpatient hospital copay, and any other copays for services or items that the beneficiary needs. The agent must discuss the cost limitations on dental, vision, and hearing. Prior to enrollment, agents must review with the beneficiary how they can file a complaint. They must also explain the right to cancel the enrollment and provide the date through which cancellation can occur. If a beneficiary is interested, eligible for enrollment in a Medicare savings account, the agent must review with the beneficiary the need to maintain a trust custodial account to remain enrolled in the Medicare savings account. If a beneficiary is interested in or eligible for enrollment in a special needs plan, the agent must discuss the following: the need to qualify for the chronic disabling condition requirement for a chronic SNP, the need to have Medicaid to qualify for the DSNP, or the need to remain in an institutional skilled nursing facility to qualify for the I-SNP. Enrollment mechanisms must require the applicant's acknowledgement of consent that they must keep Medicare A and B if enrolling into a Medicare Advantage plan, and must keep Part A or B if enrolling into a Part D plan. Enrollment mechanisms must require the applicant's acknowledgement to agree to abide by the plan's membership rules as outlined in the enrollee materials. The beneficiary needs to consent to the release of information to Medicare and other plans. Information may be used to track enrollment and for other purposes as allowed under federal law. The beneficiary must understand that the enrollment in another Medicare Advantage plan, prescription drug plan, or Medicare Advantage with prescription plan automatically disenrolls them from their current plan. The model private fee-for-service and medical savings account enrollment mechanisms provide modified language as appropriate. The beneficiary must understand their right to appeal service and payment denials that the plan might make. Marketing representatives may not, these are nots, deny or discourage beneficiary enrollment based on need for healthcare services, race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, gender, sex, age, mental or physical disability, health status, receipt of health care, claims experience, medical history, genetic information, or evidence of insurability. Geographic location within a service area is something that you may not it's prohibited that you use a geographic location to discourage someone from enrolling. Marketing representatives must comply with their obligations under other federal anti-discrimination rules and requirements. Marketing representatives may not engage in any discriminatory activities such as attempting to recruit Medicare beneficiaries from higher income areas without making comparable efforts to enroll Medicare beneficiaries from lower income areas or vice versa. Marketing representatives may not ask health screening questions during the completion of an enrollment request unless it is necessary to determine eligibility for enrollment in a SNP. Marketing organizations, Medicare Advantage organizations, are only permitted to send health assessment forms after enrollment. Post-enrollment activities. After the plan receives a request for enrollment and before the effective date of coverage, all plans must provide the enrollee with a notice acknowledging receipt of the application and showing the effective date of coverage. This information must be provided no later than 10 calendar days after receipt of the completed enrollment request. A copy of the completed paper enrollment, if the beneficiary requests it. The beneficiary must get from the plan evidence that the enrollment request was received, such as a confirmation number for enrollment requests submitted via the internet or telephone. The beneficiary should also get proof of health coverage so that they may begin using plan services as of the effective date, but must include data necessary to access benefits. Regardless of how an enrollment request is made, the plan sponsor must explain the charges for which the prospective member will be liable, premiums, late enrollment penalty, co-insurance, deductible. If this information is available at the time the acknowledgement notice is issued. This prospective member's authorization for the disclosure and exchange of necessary information between the Medicare Advantage organization and CMS, the lock-in requirement, the potential for financial liability if it is found that the individual is not entitled to Medicare Part A and B at the time coverage begins, and they have used Medicare Advantage plan services after the effective date, and the effective date of coverage, and how to obtain services before the receipt of an ID card. These are all things that the Medicare Advantage plan must have available and explain. In some instances, the plan sponsor will be unable to provide the materials and require notification to new enrollees before the effective date. In these cases, all materials described in the previous slide must be provided no later than 10 calendar days after receipt of the completed enrollment request. Once the plan sponsor receives a reply from CMS indicating whether the individual's enrollment has been accepted or rejected, the plan must notify the individual in writing of CMS's acceptance or rejection of the enrollment within 10 calendar days. There are exceptions to this notice requirement for certain types of transaction rejections. The enrollment confirmation notice must explain the charges for which the prospective member will be liable, such as any premiums, coinsurance fees, or other amounts, and any amount that is attributable to the Medicare deductible and coinsurance. For those eligible for low-income subsidy, the enrollment confirmation notice must specify the limits applicable to the level of subsidy to which the person is entitled. This is a chart that explains when does coverage begin. So if an application is done during the ICEP or the IEP, the enrollment effective date is the first day of the month of entitlement to Medicare Part A and B, or the first of the month following the month the enrollment request was made if after the entitlement has occurred. During the AMP, all effective dates are January 1 of the following year. During OEP for institutionalized individuals, the effective date is the first of the month after the month the Medicare Advantage organization receives an enrollment request. For a Medicare Advantage open enrollment period, it's the first day of the month after the month the Medicare Advantage organization receives an enrollment request. For special election periods, it's generally the first day of the month after the month the Medicare Advantage organization receives the enrollment request. However, exceptions apply to certain special elections. If a plan sponsor receives an enrollment request and determines the applicant is eligible for more than one election period, it must allow the individual to choose the enrollment effective date. To determine the beneficiary choice of election period and effective date, the Medicare Advantage organization must attempt to contact the beneficiary and must document its attempts. If the Medicare Advantage organization is unable to obtain the beneficiary's desired enrollment effective date, the Medicare Advantage organization must assign an election period using the ranking of election periods set forth in the regulations. Individuals eligible for employer group health plan and one or more other election periods who make an election via the employer or union election process will be assigned an effective date according to the employer group health plan SCP unless the individual requests a different allowable effective date. If one of the election periods for which the individual is eligible is the ICEP, the individual may not choose an effective date any earlier than the month of entitlement to Medicare Parts A and B. Disenrollment. There are two types of disenrollment. Voluntary disenrollment, where an enrollee chooses to disenroll in a plan because they no longer want to be enrolled, or involuntary disenrollment. In certain situations, the plan may be required or may have the option to end an employee's membership. The disenrollment is not the enrollee's choice. Plans or their marketing representatives may not either orally or in writing or by any action or inaction request or encourage any enrollee to disenroll from the plan except in specific situations authorized by CMS. Plans may contact enrollees to determine the reason for a voluntary disenrollment, but must not encourage an enrollee from disenrolling after they indicate a desire to do so and may not market to the disenrolled individual during the call. During a valid election period, an enrollee may request disenrollment from a Medicare Advantage or prescription drug plan by enrolling in another plan, sending a fax or a signed written notice to the plan sponsor, submitting a request via the internet to the plan sponsor, or calling 1-800-Medicare. Enrollees making verbal requests must be instructed to request one of these methods of disenrollment. There are exceptions. Employer or union-sponsored plans may have other disenrollment mechanisms. To disenroll from a Medicare savings plan, enrollees must write to the plan. The enrollee cannot disenroll via 1-800-Medicare. To ensure disenrollment from a prescription drug plan, enrollees should submit a written request or call Medicare in the following situations: joining a Medicare Advantage private fee-for-service plan without drug coverage, joining a Medicare savings account when not joining any other health or prescription drug plan. Medicare cost plan enrollees may end their membership at any time during the year and enroll in original Medicare. The enrollee must submit a written request and cannot disenroll by calling Medicare. A beneficiary who disenrolls from a cost plan may join a Medicare Advantage plan or a prescription drug plan during the annual election period or other Medicare Advantage or Part D election period. Plan sponsors must disenroll an enrollee from the plan in the following situations: a permanent change in residence, including incarceration. The enrollee does not stay enrolled in Part A and Part B for Medicare Advantage and Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans, or does not stay enrolled in Part A or Part B for prescription drug plans. A SNP enrollee loses special needs status. SNPs can choose to continue enrollment for an individual that no longer meets the special needs status if the individual can reasonably be expected to meet the criteria again within 6 months. A Medicare savings account enrollee no longer meets the criteria to enroll in a Medicare savings account, they will be involuntarily disenrolled. Plan sponsors must disenroll an enrollee from the plan when the enrollee dies, the plan sponsor's contract is terminated, withdrawn, or the service area is reduced and excludes the enrollee, the member fails to pay their Part D IRMA to the government, and CMS notifies the plan to effectuate the disenrollment. Note that CMS has established a 3-month initial grace period before individuals in a Medicare Advantage or prescription drug plan will be disenrolled for failure to pay their Part D IRMA. The member is not lawfully present in the United States is another reason that they will be involuntarily disenrolled, and a PDP must also involuntarily disenroll an individual who materially misrepresents information to the plan sponsor regarding reimbursements for third-party coverage. Medicare Advantage organizations must disenroll enrollees who are not in these V-T programs who have been out of the area for more than 6 months. They may offer an extended visitor traveler benefit for up to 12 months. Under this benefit, enrollees may remain temporarily out of the service area for up to 12 months without being disenrolled. Part D plan sponsors must disenroll an enrollee 12 months after identifying that the individual has moved out of the service area if the plan has been unable to confirm the move with the enrollee. Exceptions may apply to enrollees who have low income subsidy. Medicare service account plans must additionally disenroll an enrollee who no longer meets the MSA eligibility requirements, except the MSA plan may not disenroll beneficiaries who elect the Medicare hospice benefit while enrolled in the plan. Medicare cost plans must disenroll an enrollee who does not stay continuously enrolled in Part B, who has a permanent change in residence, including incarceration, who has a temporary absence from the service area for more than 90 days, up to 12 months for plans with the extended absence option. They must disenroll enrollees who are deceased. They must disenroll when the cost contract is terminated or not renewed. And they must disenroll when the member is not lawfully present in the United States. Cost plans that offer an optional supplemental Part D benefit must disenroll individuals who failed to pay their Part D IRMA from that optional benefit 3 months after the 3-month initial grace period. Plan sponsors may involuntarily disenroll an enrollee from the plan, but are not required to do so if the enrollee does not pay premiums on a timely basis, engages in disruptive behavior. CMS must approve the disenrollment after reviewing the evidence presented by the plan, provides fraudulent information on an enrollment request, allows another individual to use his or her enrollment card. Plan sponsors must take action consistently among all enrollees of each plan. If a member fails to pay premium, a plan sponsor may choose to do nothing, or they may disenroll the member after the grace period. Plan sponsors must apply the policy they choose uniformly for all plan members. However, Medicare Advantage plans have the option to retain dual eligible members and individuals who qualify for low-income subsidy who fail to pay premiums, even if the Medicare Advantage organization has the policy to disenroll for non-payment of premiums. Medicare Advantage only plans may retain individuals who are dually eligible for both Medicare and Medicaid, individuals who are entitled to Medicare Part A and Part B and receive any assistance from Title 19, the Medicaid program. Prescription drug plans have the option to retain individuals who qualify for low-income subsidy but fail to pay their premiums. Optional involuntary disenrollment from MA Part D or cost plans failure to pay premium. Enrollees' rights. For failure to pay plan premiums, the plan sponsor must notify the enrollee in writing, provide the enrollee with a grace period of not less than 2 months. Under certain circumstances, individuals may be reinstated for good cause if the beneficiary pays the overdue premiums within 3 calendar months of disenrollment and other criteria are met. Enrollees have the right to make a complaint if the plan ends their membership. Here's where you get more information always from www.cms.gov/Medicare, from Medicare.gov, from your CMS files that are listed here for guidance for eligibility, enrollment, and disenrollment. That's information that's on the CMS site. Are there any questions?